Look at this jaw. Those are not the teeth of a predator. That is not a monster dredged up from the deep. There is no documentary about this thing. It is not endangered, not mythologized, not feared. It lives in shallow Atlantic water, right off the coast of North Carolina, a few meters below where people are right now swimming with their children. Those are human teeth, incisors at the front, flat, square molars in the back, rows of them, 3 rows on top, 2 on the bottom, all coated in enamel, just like yours, sitting inside the face of a fish. Everything you were taught about what makes you human, your anatomy, your body plan, the architecture of your face, was never exclusively yours to begin with. The assumption has always been that if something looks human, it came from humans, that we are the template and everything else is a rough draft. But if you scaled the evolutionary timeline onto a single calendar year, the sheepshead fish had your molars in September. You did not show up until December 31st, around 11 at night. You are not the original. You are the reprint. This fish independently evolved incisors, molars, and enamel coating. The same 3 architectural features that define human dental structure, without sharing a common ancestor with us for hundreds of millions of years. It did not copy us. It arrived at the same answer from a completely different direction because the ocean handed it the same problem we were handed on land. We are not living in a world where humans are the blueprint. We are living in a world where the blueprint keeps writing itself over and over in completely unrelated species, and sometimes the result has your exact face. Also called the convict fish for the vertical black stripes down its silver body. Also called the sheepshead, its flat horizontal mouth and blunt face bear a vague resemblance to a sheep's muzzle. The name has never quite captured what the fish actually is. An evolutionary anomaly wearing a completely mundane disguise. It lives along the Atlantic coast from Nova Scotia to Brazil, around rock pilings, oyster beds, mangroves and piers. It does not look threatening. It's the kind of fish a child could catch off a dock in the afternoon. And then you look at its mouth. Teeth begin developing when the fish is just 4.5 millimeters long. Sharp incisors form first. By 15 millimeters, the front teeth lock in and the rear teeth transform into adult molars. Flat, dense, mineralized, set in multiple rows for one purpose: crushing shells, clams, oysters, barnacles, crabs. The sheepshead does not avoid armored prey, it seeks it out. Its jaw musculature develops into old age, meaning an older fish can generate more crushing force than a younger one. It gets better at eating everything, continuously, for its entire life. It eats over 100 species, survives saltwater and freshwater equally. Steals bait with such consistency that anglers call it the most accomplished thief in the Atlantic. And the reason for all of it comes back to one thing: that jaw, those teeth, the ones that look unsettlingly and unmistakably like yours. Convergent evolution, unrelated species independently developing similar features, is well documented. Dolphins and fish both have fins. Bats and birds both have wings. But those are broad functional shapes driven by the same physics. They are analogous in outline, not in molecular architecture. The sheepshead is different. It did not just arrive at a similar shape. It independently evolved enamel, the specific mineralized coating on human teeth. produced by cells called ameloblasts, following a specific genetic pathway. A 2017 study from the University of Sheffield found that pufferfish and humans share a nearly identical gene responsible for producing it. The molecular machinery is the same. The solution is identical, down to the chemistry. Here's the part that reconfigures something in your brain. A sheepshead tooth and a human molar, placed side by side under a microscope, are in several key respects indistinguishable. Two unrelated lineages, hundreds of millions of years apart, same tooth. On the bright side, at least one of you has dental insurance. Standard models of convergent evolution predict structural similarity, not chemical identity. When two lineages independently solve the same problem, they are expected to use different tools, the way different languages have different words for water, even though everyone eventually needed one. The sheepshead broke this model, and it is not alone. Researchers sequencing the genomes of multiple fish species have found that the genetic toolkit for building teeth, the signaling pathways, the enamel-producing genes, the mineralization processes, is extraordinarily ancient and conserved. It is not being reinvented each time. It is being rediscovered. Species separated by geological timescales are pulling the same genetic levers because the blueprint was already embedded in the genome, dormant hundreds of millions of years ago, waiting. Here is the what-if that rewrites the framework. What if convergent evolution is not evolution? Finding the same answer twice, but evolution returning to the same answer it already had. What if the genetic instructions for human-like teeth were never uniquely human, but a deep ancestral blueprint that keeps getting unlocked whenever the environment creates sufficient pressure to open it? The teeth were always there. We just had to be handed the right problem to grow them. Every time you look in a mirror and see your teeth, you are looking at a solution that evolution has arrived at repeatedly, in multiple species, across hundreds of millions of years. The sheepshead fish did not steal your face. It found the same page in the same book, from a completely different starting point, because the book was written long before either of you existed. That is not a coincidence. That is the most unsettling kind of order, the kind that does not require anyone to be in charge. You are not special because you have those teeth. You are remarkable because you are the version of the answer that started asking why. That gap between the fish that has your teeth and cannot conceive of the question, and you who can, might be the only thing in biology that has no evolutionary explanation yet. But if evolution keeps returning to the same blueprints, rewriting the same structures in completely unrelated species across hundreds of millions of years, because researchers mapping the dormant regions of the human genome have started finding sequences with no known function, ancient code, conserved across species, waiting for a signal that has not arrived, structures that were switched off millions of years ago and have never been switched back on. The answer to what they built is not in the fossil record. It is written in you, right now, in a language biology is only beginning to read.